Should I start? Should I start, Ramakrishna ji?
Go ahead.
Om Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Manobuddhyahankara chittani naham na cha shrota jivve na cha grana netre na cha vyoma bhumir na tejo na vayu Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Na cha prana sangyo na vai panchavayu na va saptadhatu na va panchakosha na vakpani padam na chopasthapayu Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Na me dvesha rago na me lobha moha Madho naiva me naiva matsarya bhavaha Na dharmo na chartho na kamo na mokshaha Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Na punyam na papam na saukyam na dukkham na mantro na tirtam na veda na yajñah aham bhojanam naiva bhojyam na bhokta Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Na mrityur na shanka na me jati vedaha Pita naiva me naiva mata na janmaha Na bandhur na mitram guru naiva shishyaha Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Aham nirvikalpo nirakara rupo Vibhutva cha sarvatra sarvendriyanam Na cha sangatam naiva muktirna meyaha Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham.
Vanita. Next class, Pratima, you want to go?
Sure, Anna.
Okay. So in the last class, we began the Ramagita. Lakshmana approaches Sri Rama, asking him to teach him self-knowledge, and we went through some verses that described the preparatory steps that a student has to take. And then in that connection, we talked about sadhana chatushtaya. And then we came to this verse. Sri Rama begins his instructions here. Adau savarnashrama varnitaha kriyaha krutva samasadita shuddha manasaha samapya tatpurvamupatha sadhanaha samashraye sadgurum atmalabdaye. Samashraye sadgurum atmalabdaye. This is the first instruction of Sri Ramachandra. He says, first, to start with, Swavarnashrama Varnitaha Kriyaha Kutva. So one has to engage in all the karmas that are prescribed for the varna and the ashrama. And with that, samasadha shuddha manasaha. What happens with doing the swarnashrama karmas is the mind becomes purer. Samasadhita shuddha manasaha. By this ashrama, following the ashrama dharma, having purified his mind, then samapya tat purvam upatta sadhanaha, which having completed the earlier sadhana, the earlier sadhana is relates to that sadhana chatushtaya that he is referring here, Sri Rama. Tamashriye sadgurum atmanabdaye. So this seeker of the self-knowledge, he has to go to a sadguru. Atmalabdaye. Now, Sadguru, who is a Sadguru? Who is a teacher worthy of teaching? Now, like Bhagavad Gita also says that the pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. Jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. That's the qualification for getting Atma Jnana. That is what here Sri Rama is saying. Sadguru means one who has he himself has realized Atma. The same thing in Mundaka Upanishad it comes Brahmanishtaha. That means he is established in Brahma. Everyone, not everyone who wears who calls himself a sannyasi or wears sannyasa dress doesn't mean they will give you Atma Jnana. So if one is serious, he has to go through this Swarnashrama Varnita Dharma, and then with that attain the Shuddha Manasa, that is the purified mind, and Samapta Tat Purvam Upatta Sadhana. Along with that comes the other sadhanas that are required for Atma Jnana, and then he goes to the Sadguru, a guru who has been established in Tattva Jnana, and then he will be able to, the guru will be able to teach him the Tattva Jnana or the Atma Jnana, which leads to moksha. Let's get this. Okay. Now we will come to the next verse. This is about the beginning of the instructions by Sri Rama. Kriya Shairodbhava Heturadhrita Priya Priyautau Bhavataha Suraginaha Dharmetarau Tatra Punasharirakam Punakriya Chakra Diryate Bhavaha. Sri Ramachandra is describing here in this verse the state of people who are in the transmigration or samsara. What are they? Priya Priyautau Bhavataha Suraginaha. They are motivated by desires. They are generally people are engaged in the actions of the world. And these actions could be the actions prescribed in the Vedas. They have to be, as a rule, only the, according to the Vedanta, only doing the actions prescribed in the Vedas are the prerequisite for Atma Jnana. All the other kinds of activities that we do is bhuktaye natu muktaye. Shankaracharya says in one of his compositions, they fill the tummy, bhuktaye natu muktaye. It does not give rise to Atma Jnana. So the actions prescribed in the Vedas, that is again part of the Swadharma, by doing which you have less of the identity with the karma itself. The more you are identifying with karma, the more we are with respect to this transmigration or samsara. We are that much more deeper in samsara. So in order to be able to realize the Atma, for which the pure mind is required and is a necessity, a prerequisite, doing the prescribed actions prescribed in the Vedas is a prerequisite also. So now, to start with, even though, I am not yet ready for Atma Jnana, but this becomes the prescribed actions in the Vedas that becomes the prerequisite, right? So now these karmas that we do, even the karmas that are prescribed in the Vedas, these actions have the power of producing new bodies. He says, Dharmotarotra punaha sharirakam. Even though they are in accordance with dharma, tatra punaha sharirakam punaha kriya chakram. So you get another body, and in that new body you do karma again, like this. This cycle keeps on going. Yeah, that is the state of the people. We who are even doing prescribed karmas. Prescribed karmas prescribed in the Vedas. So they begin to perform these actions motivated by attachment. Priya Priya Bhavataha Suragina. They become attached. They can become attached. Suragina means they become attached. So what is the attachment? Certain actions they want to do to attain something that they want, to acquire something that they want. And hate, attachment and hate is certain other actions which provides undesirable consequences in me. It creates sorrow in me. I want to keep those away. So I perform certain actions to acquire something that I like or something I desire, and then I perform certain actions which by which I want to keep away unwanted outcomes, unwanted things I want to. So this is how a person is attached to karma. I'm attached to something that is beneficial to me, I think, and something that is not beneficial to me, I want to keep away. So in performing these actions, what happens is, once you are motivated by this attachment and hate, there's a very thin line to cross the dharma. Where do you cross the dharma, where you don't cross the dharma? It's a very, very thin line. So if you are always motivated by attachment and hate, there comes a time when, though you are doing the actions prescribed in the Vedas, that is dharma, somewhere along the line, there is a strong likelihood, there is a potential for us to slip into adharma. So all the actions that are motivated by this attachment and hate will one day or the other will slip into adharma. So they accrue virtue and sin, being thus indifferent. For all those that they are within dharma, they accrue a virtue. For all those that they end up in being in adharma, while they are doing with this motivation of attachment and hate, without our knowledge, we may cross that line of dharma and get into adharma. So that is what here Sri Ramachandra is describing in this verse. There are some additional comments on this. So in this world of multiplicity, the jiva generally experience what all he experiences. There are about half a dozen items are listed here. Misery, that is, we all know that there is sometimes we may have a happiness, but more so there is a happiness is followed by a misery, like this. So, and in this transmigration or samsara, we experience birth, and then once we are born, karma, and then with karma comes evils like attachment and hate, and then with that attachment and hate, the next step is sense of ego. I want this, I don't want this. That is the sense of ego. I means here the body and mind. So with this attachment and hate, automatically I want to enjoy this. I don't want that to happen to me. Me means body and mind. So sense of ego starts developing, and the indiscrimination and ignorance. Ignorance, why indiscrimination means when I do the dharma karma, whether it is dharma or the adharma, that indiscrimination happens. And more and more we do, we lose track of the real nature that ignorance sets in us. So what is said here in these 6 items, first in order is the effect, and what is said next is the cause. What it means is, birth is the cause, misery is the effect of birth. Karma is the cause, misery arises from birth, then birth arises from karma, karma arises from attachment and hate. So what is said first is the effect, what is said next to it is the cause. So you take any two pairs, any two, a pair of two bullets, there's a cause-effect relationship between them. There's a cause-effect relationship between misery and birth. Then there's a cause-effect relationship between birth and karma. Karma is the cause, birth is the effect. Then there's a cause and effect relationship between karma and attachment and hate. Once you do a karma, we do the karma either having an attachment to it or don't like it. So attachment and karma becomes the cause. Attachment and hate becomes the cause, and karma is the effect. Attachment and hate arises out of ego. Now I have, I just said now, so I want to do, I want this, I don't want this. That's the sense of ego that we are talking about. And ego arises from indiscrimination. What is indiscrimination? I don't know myself. You know, I am the body or the Atma, that confusion sets in. So ego arises from indiscrimination. I am really the Atma, but I think I'm the body and mind. So that is the indiscrimination. And that indiscrimination comes from ignorance. I don't know myself. I don't know myself, therefore the indiscrimination comes. So if you read from the bottom bullet here, indiscrimination arises from ignorance. Ego arises out of indiscrimination. And then attachment and hate arise out of ego. And then karma arises from attachment and hate, birth arises from karma, and misery arises from birth. So this continuous cycle of this these aspects of the jiva happens life after life after life. Now, is misery natural to the jiva or incidental? This is a question that we need to understand to go forward with respect to the self-knowledge. Now, misery is not natural to the jiva. That is what we want to establish here. That's what we will establish here. It is an acquired thing. It is not a natural aspect of the jiva. Why so? There are many reasons. There are many objections for misery to be natural to the jiva. There are many reasons. And what are those? Anything natural has no end. You see, if misery is natural, no one can have happiness at all. So if there is something that is natural, that always remains natural. Like you have a white sari, let us say, the white sari, whiteness is natural to the sari. Therefore, that has no end. Even as the sari is finally torn, even then that whiteness doesn't go. So anything natural has no end to it. That whiteness doesn't go, and therefore that is the naturalness of that sari. So if misery is natural to all of us, no one can have happiness because it cannot go at all. Misery can never vanish from us at all. Therefore, misery is something that is acquired. No one would try to overcome misery and attain happiness. If misery were to be natural, we all know it's not going to change anyway. So live with it. There is a I can recall a very funny statement. Somebody shows his hand to a palmist and asks, "Is this what are the prospects for me?" And the palmist, he reads the hand and then says, "You have a lot of difficulty in the next 5 years." And then this customer, he feels kind of hopeful that after 5 years he will have relief from whatever misery. And then so what after 5 years? And the palmist says, "You get used to it by that time." So like this, whatever is natural, we will not try to even get over it. Okay, we kind of resign to it. So no one would engage in good karma. So what's the point in doing good karma if it doesn't end my misery? So like I will not even engage in good karma. So then we don't do bhajans, we don't do satsangs, we don't do prayers, we don't do meditation. All those things are prescribed in the Vedas, in the Puranas. Now that becomes meaningless. Now here is a Veda, a Purana that is saying something that cannot be achieved at all. So Vedas and Puranas, they become false. So that is the consequence of if somebody thinks the misery is natural to the jiva. No, misery is not natural to the jiva. It is something acquired. If misery is essential nature of the jiva, its elimination would be the destruction of the Atma itself. So we are jiva, jivatma, if you take, if misery is natural, then if I try to eliminate the naturalness, if I try to eliminate it, then it ends in the destruction of the Atma itself. Like the example I gave, if you try to, the white sari, if I try to remove the whiteness of the sari, ultimately the sari itself is destroyed. So without destroying the nature of the object, its essential nature cannot be eliminated. So Upanishads declare Atma is indestructible. So there's a conflict. If I say that misery is natural, then somewhere along the line, misery being natural, it ends in the destruction of the Atma. So Upanishads declare that the Atma is avinashi, it's indestructible. Therefore, the misery cannot be a natural aspect of jiva. Misery is only a acquired aspect. Is misery inherent characteristic of the jiva? Some additional data points here. If misery were to be so natural, in deep sleep, we would be very sorrowful. We would be a lot of misery will be in. But our experience shows that in misery, in deep sleep or samadhi, there is no misery. There is only happiness. That's what we experience when we wake up in the morning. I say, oh, I slept very well. I was very happy. Nobody has ever said after waking up from deep sleep, I was so sorrowful in the night. Nobody says that. So that's another data point that describes that the misery is not inherent in the jiva. So natural and inherent characteristics of the Atma is happiness. The misery is only a temporary and transient experience. So this temporary and transient experience we have brought upon ourselves. Nobody has given us this misery. We are responsible for the misery that we experience. So the Atma by itself is not in a state of misery, but in association with the body, there is an appearance of misery in the Jivatma. And so if in association with the body, I should be having misery, then I have to find out what is the cause of this body, because the body is the one that is giving me misery, not the Atma per se. And if that is the case, what is the cause of this body? That's what we will try to explain in the next slide. So what is the cause of this body? Now, we know that the body is formed through the five-fold gross elements, panchikarana, the subtle elements go through the panchikarana process, and we get to the gross elements. And these elements are the source, are the building blocks of this body with the efficiencies of the past karma. Efficiency of past karma means good karma gives good bodies and bad karma gives bad bodies. That's the efficiency of the karma. If I have done good karma in this life, I will get good body in my next life. It could be any, it can be a number of things. It can be born with good health. It could be born with good family. It could be born with, in a drug addict family, if it's bad karma. So these are all aspects of the body. So elements alone cannot produce bodies. That's another thing. These 5 elements, Akasha, Vayu, Anala, Anila, Anala, that is water, and earth. So these are the 5 elements: space, air, fire, water, and earth. So these 5 themselves cannot produce bodies. We have known that a rock does not give rise to another rock. So the bodies are produced only when the male and female cells come together associated with karma. There is a karma that is associated with me, and this karma translates itself into a male body, or in some case, some aspects of it female also possible, but mostly it's male. And then that male and female coming together passes on this karma into the womb of the female, and that is how the bodies are born. So the 5 elements and space and time exist uniformly everywhere, but once there is another aspect of this is when the 5 elements exist uniformly, all of us should be identical in our nature, in our disposition. We are not. Some of us are very patient. Some of us have a lot of impatience, like that. So the 5 elements themselves, if they were to bring bodies, then there would be all kinds of issues associated with the efficiency of the body. Karma doesn't come into picture, and then everyone would look alike. That is not so. We see that there's a diversity in all beings, and this diversity of karma alone can explain the existence and varieties of bodies. So that is where the karma comes into picture with respect to the cause of the body. So the 5-folded gross elements are the material cause of the bodies, and karma is the instrumental or the intelligent cause of the body. So there are 2 aspects to any creation: the material cause and the intelligent cause. So the intelligent cause happens to be karma that we have done in the past, and based on that karma, this jiva after death goes through the cycle, gets into the clouds and the rain and the food chain, and then gets being absorbed by the male and then transferred into the female, and that is how the body gets created. And that body gets created according to the efficiencies of the past karma: good bodies, and bad karma, bad bodies. In the Song of a Sannyasi, Vivekananda, he says good, bad, bad. That's what he says in that poem. So that's what that is. So in that efficiency of karma plays a big role in what body we will get in the next life. So now the scriptures also, they enjoin that karmas, good or bad, have to be experienced. One thing that we have to understand is, if I have a karma that I have accumulated, karma here means you are taking karma phala, the karma has to be experienced. It just cannot be not experienced. You have to get liberation, or you have to experience the karma. The only way the karma gets destroyed is once we get the Atma Jnana. At the time of Atma Jnana, the karma drops off. So this karma that we experience, that we accumulate through our actions, is very tenacious. It does not disappear by itself. There's this one verse: Avashyam anubhoktavyam kritam karma shubhashubham na abhuktam kshiyate karma kalpakoti shatairapi. Now, avashyam anubhoktavyam, absolutely necessarily it has to be experienced. What? Kritam karma shubhashubham. Whether you do good karma or bad karma, it has to be necessarily experienced. Na abhuktam kshiyate karma, that karma never disappears without experiencing it. Kalpa koti shatairapi. Now he says if it is 1 crore of Brahma's lives, one Brahma's life itself is, according to our counting system, is about 311 trillion years. Now, what this author says here is, even if it is 1 crore of 311 trillion years, even then that karma will not die. That karma you have to experience. That is how tenacious the karma is. So we cannot exhaust the karma. Only the fire of knowledge can burn it away. Jnanagnihi sarva karmani basmasat kurute tatha. That is the verse from the Bhagavad Gita. So the karma has to be experienced. It by itself will not disappear or get destructed. The only way the karma can be destructed or disappear is through self-realization. At that point, the karma disappears. Why the karma disappears? Because you are Atma. You have detached yourself from the body. Karma belongs to the body, not to the Atma. So when I am realized, when I am established in Atma, then there's a total detachment between the body and the Atma, and the karma drops off along with the body, and therefore there is no more karma phala to be experienced for the realized jnana. So though, in here we studied the sequence of the happenings in transmigration, and all of that will relate to the karma that we do. Karma gives us a body, and the body gives us misery, and all these experiences of life happens as a result of the karma. Ajnanamevas. No, we didn't read that last verse. Okay, let me do that and then move to this one. No, I'll read and you can make. Kriya sharirodbhava heturadhrita. Twice.
Kriya sharirodbhava heturadhrita. Kriya sharirodbhava heturadhrita.
Priya priyautau.
Priya priyautau. Priya priyautau.
Bhavataha suraginaha.
Bhavatah suraginaha. Bhavatah suraginaha.
Dharme tarau tatra.
Dharme tarau tatra. Dharme tarau tatra.
Punasharirakam.
Punasharirakam. Punasharirakam.
Punakriya chakra.
Punashakriya chakra.
Adhiyate. I'm not sure how that sandhi is. Avadhiyate. Punakriya chakra. Punakriya chakravadhiryate bhavaha.
Punakriya chakravadhiryate bhavaha. Punakriya chakravadhiryate bhavaha.
Ajnanamevasya hi mula karanam tadhanamevatra vidhau vidhiyate vidyaiva tannasha vidhau patiyasi na karma tajjam savirodhamiritam. Ajnanamevasya imula karanam tadhanamevatra vidhau vidhiyate vidyaiva tannasha vidhau patiyasi na karma tajjam
na karma tajjam,
Saviro, no,
na karma tajjam,
Savirodhamiritam.
savirodhamiritam, savirodhamiritam.
So, Mula Karanam Ajnanam Eva Asya of this transmigration. The source cause of this Mula Karana is source cause. The source cause of this transmigration cycle is Ajnana or ignorance. So, the Tadana Mimatra without Vidhiyate, all the Vedantic commands are to destroy this ignorance. The ignorance that we have, the ignorance of what? That I am thinking I am the body, whereas I am really the Atma. That is the ignorance. I am thinking myself as the body and mind is the ignorance. So Vedanta procedure commands the destruction of this ignorance. So the procedure calls for destroying this ignorance. Karma cannot destroy ignorance being opposed to each other. That's what it is. Na karma tajjam savirodha miritam. Karma cannot destroy this ajnana, and savirodham, they are opposed to each other, because karma gives you a body, and the body again does karma, and that karma brings more bodies. So there is a enmity relationship between karma and ignorance. So karma cannot destroy ignorance being opposed to each other. Now, this is a very big topic in Vedanta. This is what is called the karma, jnana karma samuchaya. What is knowledge? Now, my real nature is Purna Atma. I'm, like Purna Vidya, we say this. Vedanta is called Purna Vidya. So my nature, real nature is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, that I am. My real nature is Purna Atma. So what is this being? So what is the ignorance? Not knowing this Purna Atma, this that I am. My real nature is not knowing my real nature is the ignorance. If I knew that I am the Purna Atma, if I behave like I am the Purna Atma, then there is no ignorance. But the ignorance is not knowing that. Because I don't know it, I am imposing myself or superposing myself as the body and mind on the Atma. Now, how does this ignorance manifest itself? When I'm ignorant, what I do, I identify with the body and mind. So this is the first aspect of ignorance, that I'm not knowing myself. I'm projecting the body and mind as myself on this Atma. So the role of karma in ignorance and role of karma in knowledge have to be understood now, because the body and mind is the medium through which karma happens. We execute karma, and so we have to understand this in what way this karma itself makes or interacts with the body and mind, and in what way, if I do karma, I will interact. I will not interact with body and mind. I will do the karma, but it will not affect the body and mind. That is what we need to understand. So the role of karma in either ignorance or in knowledge. Now, this jnana or the self-knowledge is a supreme knowledge by which one acquires liberation from transmigration cycle. So ajnana keeps me engaged in transmigration cycle or samsara, and the jnana, it gives me a liberation from this transmigration cycle. So who ajnana or avidya is really not knowing who I am. Who am I? If I ask, I say I am so and so person's son, or I am so and so person's spouse. So we associate all this I-ness with the body and mind, and that is the ignorance. So everything else is avidya or ajnana other than the Atma. Now, I think there's some repetition. In identification, body and mind is called ahankara. When I'm ignorant, I identify with the body and mind. So identification with the body and mind is called ahankara, or the ego aham. Aham does not really should not occur at all. Only when there is duality or multiplicity, aham, tvam, that difference comes. But if there is only one entity, there is nothing to say aham and tvam. Just existence of Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. So when I identify with the mind, I got an ahankara of the ego-ness. Ahankara is ego associated with three personalities. When I am associating with the body and mind, I consider myself as a karta. I consider, that is, I am a doer, or I consider myself as a bhokta, enjoyer. I am enjoying beautiful relationship. I am enjoying beautiful house. I am enjoying beautiful, whatever you want to say, or it can be the other way also. I am having a wretched life. That is all enjoyment also. And then jnata. Jnata is knower I. Now the knower I is not knowing. It's not like knowing self-knowledge. If there's self-knowledge, there is no knower and the known. The knower and the known merge in self-knowledge. So only when there is duality, then there is a knower and the known. The object is known, and the person who knows it is the knower. So this, along with ahankara, comes these three aspects of life: karta, bhokta, jnata, doer, enjoyer, and knower. So this is a sense of incompleteness. Whatever I do, I feel either I didn't do enough. That thought comes. Enjoyer, I want to enjoy more. There is an incompleteness in doing and knowing, and then there is an incompleteness in knowing also. Doing and enjoying was one thing. Knower also. I should today. I did my high school graduation, so I want to go to college. I want to go to postgraduate. I have to go to PhD. Then all these are nothing got to me. I have to do. I have to get to self-knowledge. See, Narada goes to Sanat Kumara, and he asks, "I have 64. I have mastery in 64 knowledge, but still I am not happy." This comes in the Chandogya Upanishad. So that is where the Bhuma, Sanat Kumara teaches the Bhuma Vidya there. So even knowing anything in this universe, in the field of duality, there is an incompleteness, a purna, sense of incompleteness. So Narada, having known every knowledge, every vidya that is there, there was a sense of incompleteness in him. So he goes to Sanat Kumara, asking him to teach that by which he is purna. So I have fallen, every one of us have fallen from Purna Atma to a Purna Ahankara. Real nature is Purna Atma, but what I am now existing as is an Apurna Ahankara, Apurna Karta, Apurna Bhokta, Apurna Jnata. So how do I translate myself from this Apurnatva to Purnatva? That question is being answered. Vidya or Jnana is the self-knowledge or supreme knowledge by which one acquires liberation from the transmigration cycle. So my Purnatva, I'm really the Purna, but I'm appearing as an Apurna. Now, if I remove the Apurnatva, then the Purnatva remains. Like if you have a stain on your cloth, if you remove the stain from the cloth, then the Purnatva of the cloth shows itself. With the stain, there is an incompleteness of Purnatva in there. So realize Purnatva, that in order to realize Purnatva, what should I do? I should become a non-karta. I should not be a bhokta. I should not be a jnata. So I am not a karta, I am not a bhokta, I am not a jnata, means there is no duality. So this is avidya or ajnana, not knowing who I am, has vanished at this time. So once I am not a karta, I am not a bhokta, I am not a jnata, then I have become purna, and then that I don't know myself has disappeared at that point. So what is the role of karma in ignorance? Role of karma in knowledge is what we need to study on. So it's the karma that, it done in certain way, it binds me. Then in certain other way, it by itself does not give me moksha, but it helps, it paves the way for moksha. That is what the karma yoga that we have studied in the Bhagavad Gita. We'll get to that more about this role of karma. So just a recap of this. I have this janma and this birth, and this janma is given rise to ajnana. That is because of the ajnana itself, I have gotten this janma. And then once I have this ignorance of the self, there is the dvaita darshana, or the seeing the duality. And once I see the duality, if I'm the only existence in the entire universe, there is no duality, then there is no desire. But since there is a second object, I either want it, I like it, or I hate it and I don't want it. That duality comes. So that is the desire to keep it away, or the desire to possess it. That is kama. And then to fulfill the kama, I engage in action, karma. And once I do the karma, I have to experience the karma pala. And therefore that bondage to karma happens, and I have to take another birth. And therefore this cycle continues for God knows how long we have been following this life of this cycle of birth and death. We can infer here that we have been going through this cycle of birth and death because we are here today. We are here today as body and mind, and therefore that itself is enough proof that we have been going through this cycle of birth and death. So every action is associated with fruits of action, and everybody has to experience every fruit of action sometime or the other. They are either this life or next life. Now, the Vedanta text says this life is intended to experience the fruits of actions of the past life, the previous life, or the previous lives. It could be any number of lives of the past. So whatever action that we do in this current life mostly does not fructify or materialize in some experience in this life itself. Why so means, see, when we are born, the amount of fruits of karma that we have to experience is determined. That I have to experience anyway. And my lifespan is also based on experiencing that fruit action of past lives. Only way this in current life actions can be experienced in this life is they supplement the body that I have. I'll give you a simple example. If I have done some good life, I will say for that good life, I need a Daivi Sharira. I need a divine body. Obviously, I cannot experience that divine experience in this human body. Same way, if I have done something very wretched, then I'll be born as a reptile, let us say. So in that Nriga example that we studied, so then the life of a reptile cannot be experienced in this human body. Therefore, the current life does not lend itself to experience the fruits of action of this life. But if it is a human, if the outcome of current life actions is a human karma pala, there may be a potential for experiencing in this life, but it cannot be said for sure it will be. So anyway, that possibility exists. So the scope of current life may not be sufficient to experience the fruits of this life as well as the fruits of past life. As I said, the prarabdha, we have got that the life is, the length of my life is tailored to experiencing that prarabdha karma. And any additional karma that we do in this life, we will have to defer to a next life to experience the fruits of those karma. And again, whatever karma that we do in this life, in any one given life, we may need several lives to experience the fruits of them. Not, every day we do 100 karmas, and each one of them have to bear fruit. And consider that over a period of 100 years of our life, there is so much karma to be experienced. This body just cannot handle to experience all those karma palas. Therefore, it's inevitable that we postpone it to one of the future life. Now, see, not only I experience the fruits of this karma of past lives. In addition, I do additional karma also. So the human beings engage in karma because we like we live in the framework of duality, and therefore we have likes and dislikes. And having likes and dislikes automatically lands us in karma, and so we do so many karmas in addition to experience the fruits of action of the past karma or the prarabdha karma. So we are in this unending cycle of birth and death, because in this life, if I have already the bag of karma that is not assigned to this karma hanging on me. In addition to that, I add more karma pala to it. By the time I end this life, that bag of karma pala has doubled or quadrupled, depending on how much the bag was full when I came to this life, and what kinds of actions, karma that I do in this life. So I keep on, the bag keeps on bulging, becoming bigger and bigger, and therefore there is no question of exhausting the fruits of karma. The karma pala keeps on growing, and therefore there is no point in saying that it can be exhausted. So how to overcome or transcend this samsara transmigration? The Upanishads posit ignorance as the cause of the body and that we have. That's the root cause. And then it's very simple. I have to give up this body identification. And how to know his identity, acquire knowledge of self, and how he to get liberation? That we have to disassociate from the body complex, body ego. So the question comes here: what kind of karma do I have to do to overcome this transmigration? Karma does not have the ability to destroy ignorance at all. If you ask, okay, if I do this karma, do I destroy my ignorance and I become jnani? No, karma does not have the ability to destroy ignorance, because karma is born out of ignorance. Once I got this karma because of my ignorant nature, and karma will destroy ignorance is an oxymoron, like, if you will. So karma in itself is born of ignorance, and karma itself is motivated by the perception of duality, and that keeps on. If I keep on doing karma, it will promote the duality more and more. You and me, that duality keeps on persisting, and therefore karma cannot destroy ignorance. Upanishadic instruction calls for destruction of this jnana or ignorance, and that is to detach from the body and mind. If you keep on continuing the body and mind existence, then the ignorance is continuing with you, and you accumulate more and more karma, and the question of liberation or the moksha does not arise if you are engaged in karma. Now, this is what is called jnana karma samuchaya. This Purva Mimamsaka practitioners, these are the people who believe in karma alone, nothing else in their life. See, in the Vedantic, in Shed Darshanas, there is the Sankhya, Yoga, Nanyayika, Vaisheshika, Purva Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa. Uttar Mimamsa is the Vedanta that we are studying now. And the Purva Mimamsakas is what is called the Karma Kanda. They engage in various kinds of yajnas and yagas. And these Purva Mimamsaka philosophers, they promote karma. They say karma is all in all. The karma, once keep on doing karma, it will in itself end in liberation. That is their view. We will see how that, and this is explained in this text through what is called a Pura Pakshi. Pura Pakshi is an objector. In how in the courts we see court scenes, they either the whatever the prosecutor presents, the defense objects to it, or whatever the defense presents, the prosecution objects to it. Like that, what these darshanakaras they do is they introduce Purvapakshi wherever it is necessary, an objector, so that they can strengthen the thesis or the hypothesis that they are presenting. It is like this. You want to drive a nail to the wall and you want to know how firm it is. And so you shake it and see. And if it shakes, then you give 2 more blows to it and make it firm. So this objection is like that. I propose a siddhanta or a hypothesis. I have to test my siddhanta or hypothesis against all possible objections that could come. And so they introduce what is called a Purvapakshi, and this Purvapakshi is supposed to raise objection, and those objections will be answered by the Siddhanti or the one who is proposing the Siddhanta. So here in this text, he is introducing this Purvamimamsa practitioner as a objector. So what do this a little story about these Purvamimamsakas, what is their practice? They say engage in Vedic karma while you are living. In every life, in whatever life you have got, now you engage in Vedic karma, and after that, after death, once you have exhausted all the prarabdha karma, because you have done yajna and yagas, you will go to heaven. That's the merits of performing the Vedic karma. And once you go to heaven, that's the end of this life. According to them, there is no more life once you go to heaven, which the Vedanta very strongly opposes. Now, if you are concerned that in the past life you have done sins, all right, doesn't matter, you do atonement, you do prayaschitta karma. There are many kinds of prayaschitta karmas. So you do prayaschitta karma, that way you are taken care of the sanchita karma. Whatever karma is there in the bag before, after you came to this life, that you can take care of by prayaschitta karma. And then what if desire brings more actions and more fruits of actions? We say abstain from desire motivated actions. Just engage in prescribed Vedic duties without any desire, therefore no future births. So, and what are they? Nitya karma, naimittika karma. Everybody has been assigned, depending on their varna and ashrama, certain nitya naimittika karmas. Nitya karmas are the obligations that is to be done daily. Naimittika karmas are the obligations on special occasions. So these are the nitya naimittika karmas as prescribed in the Shastra. And you do them. If you don't do that, there is what is called a pratyavaya dosha. There is another kind of sin. But you engage in nitya naimittika karmas. Don't engage yourself in fruits of in desire motivated actions. And then if you are concerned about any past sins, you overcome that with prayaschitta karma. And then if following all this, you do extra Vedic karmas that are in the Shastras. Swarga kamo yajeta. There is a Vedic statement. One who wants to go to heaven, he has to do yajnas. That's what that says. So you do those specific yajnas like Rajsuyaga, Ashwamedh Somayaga. These are all for different varnas. So you do those yajnas. So these 4 bullets, the Purvamimamsakas take time as sufficient, necessary and sufficient to get to Swarga or heaven, and that's the end of life. Once you go to Swarga or heaven, The Purvamimamsaka says you have no more birth. Now, Acharya Shankara, he has analyzed and protested this logic very, very vehemently in his Brahma Sutra and Upanishad Bhashyas. Jnana Karma Samuchaya are the association of jnana and karma to get liberation. See, in the times of Shankara, there was he had to face the Bauddhas and the Purvamimamsakas. India was torn between these two. The Buddha said there is nothing, everything is shunya. And then the Purvamimamsakas were saying you do karma and then you go to heaven, and that's the end of it. So the Shankaracharya, he proposed this Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, and then there he talks very severely against this combined karma and jnana. I will come to that in just a minute. So only a part of what he is, Shankaracharya, he says is only a part of Sanchita karma, that is the karma in the bag, has been fructified in this life as prarabdha karma. Even if you do all these things that the Purvamimamsaka says that you do, these 4 bullet items, still there is that unfructified karma in your bag. That bag of karma has enough potency to spawn hundreds and thousands of lives in the future, and therefore it will not go away. That is the argument he is making. So the remaining accrued karma in the bag, he says, will not get nullified or cancelled by any actions in the current life. What Purvamimamsaka says, you do prayaschitta karma and then all the karma will go away. No, Shankaracharya says that is not possible. Only self-knowledge can destroy that bag of accrued karma, because that bag of karma has been accrued by ajnana. So that bag of karma has been accrued through the body and mind due to ignorance. And when you get jnana, then you are detached from the body and mind, and therefore the bag of karma just drops away with the body and karma, that drops away, and you remain as the Atma. So ajnana being the source cause of that accrual of sanchita karma, removal of ignorance or acquiring self-knowledge is the only means of nullifying the bag of karma, sanchita karma, and not additional karma. Like he is answering what Purvamimamsa said, if you do prayaschitta karma, you will destroy all the sins of the past life, sins or virtues, whatever it is. You will destroy that, and then you have no more birth. That is not true, that he is arguing. And he gives an example. If you want to cook rice, there are several things needed. You need the rice, you need the water, and you need a fire. You need a firewood to prepare the rice. Now, ultimately, whatever you are looking at, rice by itself will not become cooked rice, or adding water to it does not become cooked rice. Only there is one thing that is helping it to become cooked rice, and that is the fire. So likewise, it's only knowledge that can erase sanchita karma. Without the fire, the other ingredients of cooking rice are at waste. Likewise, without this jnana, any other karma that you think you will do to overcome the ajnana, to get moksha, is wasteful effort in arresting the cycle of transmigration. So karma alone, or karma in addition to jnana practice, is not possible to give moksha. That he very strongly proposes, and he objects to the Purvamimamsa that way. So this is they'll continue this in the next verse also. So what he says is 1,000-year darkness of a cave is lighted by a single stroke of a matchstick. You go to a cave, you don't know, it is so dark. Luckily, you had with you a matchbox. Just one stroke of the matchbox will remove the darkness of the cave. Likewise, this ajnana is the darkness within the body, and this ajnana can be removed by that matchstick called jnana, and not any amount of karma. you do more karma, you go deeper and deeper into the abyss. Therefore, karma will have no role in the attainment of moksha. So as I was saying, the Bauddhavada and the Shunyavada on one side and Purvamimamsavada on the other side were competing for supremacy. Now, the Purvamimamsa, he was competing with Shunyavada by promoting karma as the means of liberation. Now, the Shunya, this Bauddha would say there is no karma, everything is Shunya. It's all momentary. There is nothing like that. So the karma does not help you in getting moksha according to Bauddha. So Acharya Shankara, he had to face both the systems of philosophy. And he established that neither the Bauddha was correct nor the Purvamimamsa was correct in saying his philosophy will take you to moksha. So in there he proposed that jnana alone could remove the bondage of transmigration, and that logic he has explained in Prakarana Granthas, that is the subject matter text of Advaita Vedanta, and we will see that in the current text also to some extent. So basically, Purvamimamsa says karma will take you to moksha, and Vedanta says karma will only put you deeper in the cycle of transmigration, and you will not get liberation, moksha through karma, only jnana, self-knowledge. Jnana means self-knowledge, knowledge of the Atma Jnana. That alone stand of the Advaita Vedanta or Vedanta for that matter. So this will continue in the next verse also. Na jnana nirnacharaga sangshayo bhavet tata karma sadoshamut bhavet tata punas samshruti apyavarita tasmad buddho jnana vicharavan bhavet. He says, let me read this. Let's na jnana nirna.
Full line head.
Okay, all right. Na jnana nirnacharaga sangshayo.
Na jnanaha nirnacharaga sangshayo. Na jnanaha nirnacharaga sangshayo.
Bhavet tata karma sadoshamudbhavet.
Bhavet tatah karma sadoshamudbhavet. Bhavet tatah karma sadoshamudbhavet.
Tata punaha samspriti apyavarita.
Tatah punah samsruti apyavarita. Tatah punah samsruti apyavarita.
Tasmad buddho jnana vicharavan bhavet.
Tasmat buddho jnana vicharavan bhavet. Tasmat buddho jnana vicharavan bhavet.
Na ajnana hanihi nacharaga sangshayoho bhavet tataha karma sadosha mudbhavet. He says, ignorance cannot be removed by the karma enjoined in the Veda. So that is the statement Sri Ramachandra is making here to Lakshmana. So ignorance cannot be removed by karma. The karma jnana samuchaya is being very strongly debated in this verse. The karma can neither remove the attachments and hatred that reside in the mind. In fact, karma promotes this attachment and hatred, so that can neither remove the attachments and hatred that reside in the mind. The karma is always associated with the defects. He says karma sadosha mudbhavet. There is a defect in karma all the time. Karma is not free of defects anytime. Therefore, he says, tata punaha samshruti apyavaritaha. Therefore, it is impossible to cross over the bondage of transmigration by performing karma alone. So you do karma, you have to experience the fruits of karma, and therefore karma has no role, has no play in the pursuit of self-realization. So the wise person, that is one who has the ability to think and analyze, he says, Tasmat Buddho. What is the Buddha, the wise person should do? Jnana vicharavan bhavet. He should start analyzing the relationship between karma and jnana, and he has to, in analysis, he has to come to a full, clear knowledge that karma does not help in the moksha of the karma. So he says, therefore, the wise person, one who has the ability to think and analyze, must think and analyze which knowledge can remove the ignorance and achieve liberation from samsara. So, is it the knowledge of the objects around the world, around you, that will give you samsara, liberation from samsara, or is it the object of who you are, knowledge of who you are? That gives you the liberation from samsara. That is what he's saying here. You have a wise person should analyze very clearly the relationship between moksha and karma and jnana, and jnana means atma jnana, and then having come to a realization of the right discriminated understanding of what gives you the freedom from transmigration, you have to pursue that. He says, by doing this, you must come to conclude that karma cannot conclude in liberation, and only jnana can culminate in liberation. So this punaha samsruti apravarita tasmat buddho jnana vicharavan bhavet. So he should analyze, and by analyzing himself, he should ultimately come to the decision, to the understanding that by doing karma, the liberation is impossible, and only knowledge, jnana, self-knowledge, can help a person to achieve liberation. That's the message of this verse. Means that verse, there's nothing more per se to describe here. So it's just he's saying that ultimately karma cannot give you liberation, only jnana can give you liberation. Now here, nano, this is where the objection, nano means not so. Not so is the statement of the objector, and here that not so is the Purva Mimamsa person. He is saying not so fast. Nanu kriya veda mukhe na chodita yathaiva vidya purushartha sadhanam kartavyata pranavrata prachodita vidya sahaya tvamupaiti sa punaha. Anukriya veda mukhe na chodita.
Nanukriya veda mukhe na chodita. Nanukriya veda mukhe na chodita.
Yathaiva vidya purushartha sadhanam.
Yathaiva vidya purushartha sadhanam. Yathaiva vidya purushartha sadhanam.
Kartavyata pranavrata prachodita.
Kartavyata pranabhrutah prachodita. Kartavyata pranabhrutah prachodita.
Vidya sahayat tvamupaiti. Vidya sahayat tvamupaiti sa punaha.
Vidya sahayatvamupaiti sa punah. Vidya sahayatvamupaiti sa punah.
So the word nano, this word begins with the word nano. This is that describes the objection. Nano, not so. So in the previous verse, Sri Ramachandra, he said only self-knowledge can give you liberation. Karma cannot give you liberation. He, a Buddha, a person of knowledge, he should analyze for himself and find out that jnana can be, only jnana gives you liberation and not karma. Now he is bringing this objection, not so. the objection of the Purva Pakshi is stated in this verse. So Purva Pakshi is the Purva Mimamsaka. So it is not said that karma alone can offer liberation. Now he is making the statement. Purva Pakshi is making the statement. Nowhere it is said that karma alone can offer liberation. He is accepting that part. He is saying, you are saying karma does not give you liberation, but I am saying he is kind of here negotiating. So it is not said anywhere that karma alone can offer liberation, but it is also not said that knowledge is not at all necessary. Nor is it said that knowledge is not at all necessary. Now he is saying, I am not saying that knowledge is not necessary, but I am also saying karma alone can offer liberation. So he is trying to bridge these two. He says, but the Vedas have prescribed karma as duty, and it is an injunction on a seeker to respect the command of the Veda. Now, Veda says, do the karma, prescribed karma you have to do. Now he is using that as a crutch to give his 2 cents in terms of karma has a role in moksha. So if you disobey the Vedas, which says you have to do certain prescribed karma, and you are saying karma is not necessary for jnana, for moksha, then you are violating the Veda. That's the message is trying to bring in here. So, but the Vedas have prescribed karma as duty, kartavya, kartavyata, pranavrataha, prachodita. So it is a duty to be completed, and it is an injunction on a seeker to respect the command of the Veda. Right. It's as much a means of knowledge for the Vedantin as well as the follower of Purva Mimamsa. So he says, whether I am a Purva Mimamsa or a Vedantin, this karma is a means of knowledge for you and for me also. He is saying the Veda which the Vedantin is quoting to justify that knowledge is the only means of liberation, the same Veda is also prescribing karma. You are saying whether it is Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, or Sam Veda, or Atharva Veda, whichever one says that according to you, knowledge is the only means of liberation, that same Veda is also prescribing karma to be done. Kartavyata, as a duty, you have to do the karma. That is what the same Veda is saying. Therefore, you are not right in saying that karma cannot give moksha, only jnana can give moksha. In some substance, he is trying to say here is, knowledge is not at all necessary. I am not saying that knowledge is not at all necessary. At the same time, the Vedas say karma alone can offer liberation. They are not saying that also. Therefore, I am supporting that view that karma alone can offer liberation. So there is a in between, and both are required to achieve jnana, because here the Veda says you do the dharmam chara. That's the statement of the Vedas. Therefore, if you prescribe no karma is required, then you are violating the Vedic injunction. That is the substance of this verse, and this will take up in the next class more commentaries on this. And today we will end the class here. Let me. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhave. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.